Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. So today I'm going to be analyzing the election map as a whole. This is not what I'm predicting the states are going to go in 2020. I'm predicting the trends. So for example, if Ohio last election went for Trump by 8 and I think it's going to go for Trump by 10, it would be a red state. If I thought it would go for Trump by 6, it would be blue because we are doing a trends. I'm not going to fill out the leans for this video because it would be really hard to predict the individual results from every single state a year and a half ahead of the election. But we're going to go nevertheless and dive deep into this map starting on the West Coast. I think Alaska will trend red. I think that Donald Trump, a lot of third-party voters there, I think they'll come home for Donald Trump, and I think he'll probably end up winning the state by 20 points. Hawaii, I also think will trend red. I think that you're going to see the fact of the matter being that there's not going to be a Democratic candidate. Like Joe Biden is not going to appeal well to Hawaii. There's just not a whole lot, and it only trend red by like 1%, but I think that Democrats are kind of maxed out with the Asian vote right now, and I think that Republicans are going to end up reversing the trend with the Asian vote, like even by just 1%. I think that Donald Trump could do that. Also on the West Coast, I think Washington and Oregon are going to trend red. I think Oregon's a very rural state, and so is Washington. A lot of the people in those areas are really just kind of fed up with the status quo, and especially if Joe Biden is the nominee and pushes his like what you would call like a globalist agenda of sorts. I think that those states are going to trend red. I think Oregon could be under 10 points. I don't think Washington will be there yet, but I think the governor's race could be closer. And also California, again, another state where I think Democrats are maxed out in. Republicans did a lot better there in the midterms in 2018 than they did in 2016 in the general election, and which says a lot because Republicans did lose quite a bit of House seats in California. But I really do think that at the end of the day, I think that Trump will probably break 35% in California, if not 36 or 37. Like what his approval rating in the state per exit polling would indicate. So I think he will improve in the state of California enough where it will trend red. I think that Nevada will trend blue, though. I think that Republicans are really getting towards maxed out territory in the rural part of the state, and they're not making any gains in the suburbs yet. And if Donald Trump can reverse that trend, I mean, I really hope he does. But as of right now, I think Nevada would trend blue. And same thing with Arizona, where you have Arizona is going to turn into Nevada in a few years, where you have Maricopa County becoming like the Clark County, where it's just the one area. And since Maricopa is trending blue fast, and if Donald Trump loses Maricopa, he's going to have to struggle in the rest of the state. And I think he'll win Arizona when it's all said and done this time around, but watch out in the future, really, because of suburban sprawl is the reason why. You saw it in Nevada, you're seeing it in Arizona right now, and you're also seeing it in Colorado, which is another state I think will trend blue. However, I think New Mexico, with all the third-party voters out of the equation, because I don't think Gary Johnson will run, I think New Mexico will actually trend to Donald Trump, even if it's just by 1 to 2 percentage points. You have a wide open Senate race there, and I just wonder how the election results will look. I think that Trump will probably lose by around 7 points in New Mexico, but I think it will technically trend red. Same thing with Utah, even though Trump is not going to do as well there as a standard Republican. Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming, a lot of the Latter-day Saint third-party voters, I think they'll come home to Donald Trump because of judges and stuff like that. I do think that Montana, I don't know, it's a hard state to gauge. I think it'll go blue, trend blue. I think it'll trend blue by just like 1 to 2 percentage points. I don't think that it's going to trend blue like completely, but again, you have, for the governor's race, you have the reporter body slammer running. It's not the best look for Republicans in the state. I think Montana will slightly trend blue just because of the more environmentalist style rural types of voters. But I think that the Dakotas will trend red even further. I think that Nebraska will also trend red. Even I think the 2nd district will trend red. You know, the midterms did really well for the Republicans. I don't think that Joe Biden is going to connect very well to those voters in Omaha either. I think that Biden is a very boring candidate, and honestly, I think he's almost a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton for turning out voters. And in the state of Kansas, that will trend blue, though. I think Kansas, Johnson County is getting too big. I think it'll only trend blue. It won't trend blue like by 10 points, like what some people are saying, but I think it'll trend blue by just like 1 to 2 percentage points. I think Oklahoma will trend red. I think Trump could break 1 million votes in Oklahoma this time around. But Texas, on the other hand, will trend blue. I don't think it's going to trend blue big time. I think that just a few, maybe 2 to 3 percentage points, it will trend blue. And then after that, I think it will trend red because I think the Republicans after Donald Trump are going to do a lot better job of communicating their message to suburban and Latino voters. Now, throughout the rest of the country, basically, we did the west portion of the country. Now we'll do the eastern portion. I think that Florida will trend in the red column. I think it loves incumbents. Donald Trump is an incumbent. It's his home state, really, his second home state of Florida. I think that he will probably lose ground in Jacksonville and maybe Orlando, but I think he'll gain ground back in Tampa, and he'll do even better in the Panhandle, which is a lot like Alabama, which I also expect to trend in his column. I also expect Mississippi to trend red. I think that black turnout will be even lower percentage than it was last time around. I think Joe Biden is a terrible candidate for that if you look at his 94 crime bill history. Also, if you look at the rest of the states, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, Trump will run up margins here. Especially, he's getting even more popular in Appalachia. Louisiana, I think, will also trend red, even if it's just by 1 percentage point, and so will Missouri. Not by much, though, because Republicans are kind of getting close to maxed out there, but again, I think Democrats will trend Georgia because of the way that Atlanta is growing, and I think the way South Carolina is it's kind of Republicans got a little maxed out there. I think it's not going to trend blue a big time, but just by like 1 to 2 percentage points. Again, a lot of trailer park areas. Donald Trump will be very popular in that part of the state. Also, in the state of North Carolina, I think that will trend red. I just think that for Trump, a lot of veteran population there, helping out the VA and stuff like that is definitely a good thing for North Carolina. But I think Virginia will trend blue. I really do. It's just not a good fit for Donald Trump. The establishment in Fairfax County is just a little too big for the rural part of the state. I think the rural part of the state will trend to him, but Fairfax County, Arlington area, that's not a good look. But I do think that in D.C., just because of the fact that so many government workers there for Republicans came in, it won't trend. It might 1% go for Donald Trump, but I think DC usually trends in favor of the incumbent president. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think DC will trend, especially Donald Trump will probably do like 1 to 2 percentage at a minimum better with black voters, and that will help him as well. And in Maryland, I think if you look at the inner city outreach with Trump criticizing the corrupt politicians of Baltimore, I think that's only going to help him. Same thing with Delaware. I think all these states, especially Rhode Island, are going to trend red, except Vermont, because I don't think a lot of people are going to write in Bernie this time around. That will trend blue. New Hampshire, I think Trump will win New Hampshire and Maine at large, and those are both going to trend red just based off of trends alone. And Maine's 1st district will trend red as well as the 2nd. New York will trend red. Trump has the home state factor going for him in New York. He and Hillary both had it last time, so it really didn't help him. And upstate New York is getting more redder. So, and especially with the fact that the Democratic Party is being perceived as more anti-Semitic, and New York has a large Jewish population, Donald Trump may be able to make inroads there with probably not Reform Jews, but I think conservative Jews that are just fed up with the Democratic Party, as well as running up the margin with Orthodox Jews, which exist in large numbers in New York. Also, I think Pennsylvania will trend, especially Western Pennsylvania. The Philly suburbs probably do trend blue, but rural Western Pennsylvania is going to start voting like Appalachia, like West Virginia, Kentucky, the South. Trump has a big appeal base, and he's going to spend a lot of time there. Joe Biden is not lived in Pennsylvania for 50 years. Even if he is the nominee, I don't see him winning Pennsylvania, especially supporting the globalist trade deals out there. Now, same thing with Michigan. Trump has added a net auto jobs where we are importing more auto jobs than we are offshoring or sending to China, as well as Wisconsin, the Foxconn plant there. And the state is just a lot of rural areas that are not maxed out yet. Trump is going to make a big appeal in places like rural Michigan, rural Pennsylvania, rural Wisconsin, and he will win the states by a larger margin this time. Same thing with Ohio. I think Ohio is going to start voting more like Indiana. It's kind of going to pull a Missouri in a way where Missouri was one point the bellwether, just like Ohio is the bellwether. Even if Donald Trump does lose this election, I think he will win Ohio by a decent margin. Now, Indiana will also trend to Donald Trump, but probably only by 1 to 2% because, again, Republicans are kind of getting maxed out in Indiana, but it's kind of like a southern state placed in the Midwest in a way, so Republicans usually do better there than they do in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, for example. Now, Illinois is an unusual state as well. Donald Trump actually did worse there in 2016 than Mitt Romney did in 2012, which is ironic because Chicago was Obama's home state. I know Hillary was technically born there, but she never really claimed it as her own. I do think that Illinois will trend to Donald Trump. I think Democrats getting maxed out and so many people moving from the Chicago suburbs down to places like Dallas, places like Atlanta. And also Minnesota, I think, will trend to Donald Trump as well. I think that a lot of third-party voters there last time around voted for McMullen. A lot of them didn't understand Trump, and a lot of them do now. But also, I think Iowa will trend blue just because of the tariffs. I don't think it'll trend blue big time. I think it'll only trend blue like 1 to 2 points. I think Trump will win it by 7 or 8. But there's just so many people in Iowa that took a chance on Trump, some of the farmers. And Trump has a great approval rating with the farmers, but it's not what it was. He's like at 74. He won 80%, so I think that alone will shift it a little bit. But it's even possible Donald Trump improves with the farmers, and I will update this map as we get closer to the election. But all right, guys, thanks for watching. Please like this video. Please comment. I want to know what you have to think. Do you think that these states that I picked to trend red are all going to trend red, or do you have any states in mind that you think would trend blue, or vice versa? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, I cannot stress this enough. Hit that big red button to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another one of my videos. And please follow my social media and donate to the Patreon. Links are in description below. And thanks everybody for watching. Click on the screen for one of my other recent videos you may have missed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Red Eagle, out.